Hi, this is Kelli, Christina, and I'm here to put out yet another video where we're talking about my book, Riding the Executive Roller Coaster, Medical Staffing Cases. It just occurred to me last week that it was like a big wow to beat and have best-selling ranks in law, legal ethics, business, politics, and employment laws when I pulled out and we promoted this book this spring. And I wanted to remind everybody and take a few minutes to recognize my own personal and very special attorneys in this country and remind everybody in the matter of business and politics and working with the government offices or working with investigations or working with the state or the federal courthouses, in the matter of making a difference in this country, you're not going to get anywhere in the world without your attorneys. I've had two primary attorneys with me. Of course, Attorney Drew, I'm going on 22 years. Of course, he's semi-retired and current day, he's wills and contracts. That's about it. And then Attorney Wendell, and he's been around 15 years. So first, Drew. Drew started family, of course, my family attorney, and I met him in 1999. And Drew, after all the years, and I'm sure a lot of other people in business feel the same way about their attorneys, but my family attorney became my family. For meeting in 1999, I think it was probably about 2003. That Drew would transition and do a little bit more business and employment law and follow my career. Super strong attorney. What I always loved about Drew years ago is he's the Texas attorney and he wears the straw hat and he smiles. But I'll tell you, when he takes the hat off in the court of law, he is going to whomp your butt. He's a strong attorney. So that's Attorney Drew. My strongest attorney and attorney that's been around about 15 years now is Attorney Wendell. And he comes from the #2 employment law school in the state of Texas. And I often call Wendell my attorney monster. He's tough. So how did I come to know Wendell? About 2005, 2006. It was the first and it was the last time that I personally got myself in career in trouble. And it was lack of knowledge over non-competes. And we're not going to spend hours talking about what happened, but that's how Attorney Wendell walked into my life. And I was a force, of course, for a couple years of career to pay Wendell's fees. And then 10 years after that, of course, I always came to Wendell, and I became his protege. For 10 years, he's probably given me family advice. I've always asked him, last 10 years, will you turn down your legal fees? And he's not going to do it. That's Attorney Wendell. What I appreciate about Wendell is around 2005, 2006, we worked together for a while. And Wendell recognized something very quickly with me. He knew that I was a top producer, and he also knew that I was about one of the most honest females he'd ever met in his life. But working with me, he spent a couple years following me around and educating me on the laws in my industry. Now, what was Wendell doing? Wendell recognized that I was the type of individual, I'd always be a top producer, but people in the matter of money would try to talk me into the craziest crap. And what Wendell wanted, he wanted to keep me super clean in business and for me to have that knowledge. So it was a little annoying to have him follow me around for a couple years, but Wendell educated me in the process. So a big, huge thanks for him. Okay, the book. In this book, you're going to notice something. It's the same thing that was presented to President Obama, the White House, and the Obama administration in 2014. An industry that's gotten so crazy, we have too many attorneys, too many attorneys. In this first lawsuit, of course, it's a horrible example of a disaster, a tornado, and a very bad lawsuit. And in this lawsuit, the first lawsuit, of course, it was upper management company owner. It was their fault. The staff, including myself at the time, they were innocent. The only thing that they were guilty of course, is working at the office. But in the matter of too many attorneys, when things, and you'll have to read the book, but when things break out in the office, of course, the company owners, they're out of country for 2 weeks, and they do not know what's going on in the office. So by the time they come back, of course, every recruiter in the office has their attorney on the phone, including myself. It was Attorney Drew. And, if you've ever worked with attorneys at the time, he was prepping me. And there were probably about 12 attorneys waiting to see what would happen next, and your own personal attorney preps you. Be calm, stay cool, don't cuss, communicate very well. And by the way, Kelli, I know you have a bad temper, and so do I. Let's stay cool. So did I fail him? I lost my temper and there was a lot of cussing. The point is, bad lawsuit. If it were up for me, or what I would share with people in business, especially when they're starting out, sometimes the people forget that attorneys, they're people too. They think attorneys, they think bad because all of a sudden you are going to pay. You're going to pay for your attorneys. But what I would wish for people in business, and especially starting off, and what I would recommend, spend a little money on legal. Learn the laws of your industry before you get in trouble. Before. Here's another key issue that I always address with new business. If you want your business to run right and be set up for success, you need to use the right attorney contracts, legal agreements, fee agreements, which means you need to spend a little bit of money up front on your contracts, and it will set you up for success. So there's a lot of ways knowing employment laws before the disasters happen will save you a lot of money in the long run. It's drove me nuts. And, in this first lawsuit, of course, it is the company owner and a female VP at fault. And the staff was the victim. But if we were to turn it around and look at other offices, I guarantee you there's times that the company owners and the management are the victims, which means sometimes, recruiters will turn around and they've got, let's say, they want to seek justice, or they want to seek revenge, or they want to pull a stunt, and they find out the hard way. And I really hate these types of ex-business partners, because I've been the type of person that they come to with these plans, and I tell them 5 times, or I tell them 10 times, or I tell them 20 times the laws, what to stay away from. And with some people, it goes in one ear and out the other. They push ignore, and they think they're special. And these are the same top people. In 3 to 6 months, they're going to come back with you. By this time, they've got their attorneys and they're going before the judge. So skip all that and learn a little legal up front. Okay, now in this book, it is a fun book and there is a lot of drama. And we certainly have a lot of attorneys. These are the attorneys that I love. Attorneys practice there's so many different areas of laws. And it's been an honor and joy to work with a lot of attorneys in this country. Sometimes I don't know, I get choked up myself when I think about my attorneys, because I've had the type of attorneys that have helped me raise my family. They've gone to my parties. Of course they want to win their cases, and by God, you got to pay them too. And in this book, when I do lose everything, I did learn the hard way what is called in this country an attorney power, which means if you don't have the money to pay your attorney power is gone. So for the special attorneys in this book, the kind with the big hearts, I always I think of this and I get kind of choked up. Now, if you're somebody out there and you call an attorney firm or a legal firm and you ask an attorney to move, to personally move you, what's going to happen is they're going to hang up the phone on you, or they're going to tell you to get movers. So in 2010, of course, I had that special attorney that was, and you know what, his name was Attorney George. And what I loved about George, Attorney George was a ticket attorney for the city of Plano. So he was always the attorney that he didn't make enough money, and he was always mad over justice or at the government. And he had that big personality. And Attorney George, at the time, he didn't have any kids. And I can remember one time with my own son, and we're not here to talk about what my son did wrong as a teenager, but his music career got him in some trouble. So Attorney George was the type with the big heart. And one time he just begged me, can I throw the book of law at your son? I'm going to teach him a lesson and what he needs to learn. And you know what? My son at 30 years old is about the most honest young man you'd ever meet in your life. Anyways, Attorney George, the year 2010 in this book, he was that type of attorney. He was friends with all the recruiters. And so he was running around, in mere panic. He had that personality that he could keep up with all the attorneys, big or not, he was going to keep up. And, personally for me, he was the attorney that, I was out. And this is when you're out. When I mean you're out, you're out. I was in the middle of losing everything, which means you lose your cable, you lose your TV, you lose your phone, you lose your utilities, and then you come up with backup plans. And in 2010, I was out. I was out and running around and with money always for movers and boxes and tape. And it's the first time in your life where the money is out, which means you're going to find a way to save your stuff and your valuables. So I was walking around, coming up with a plan for boxes, and found these business dumpsters. And this is North Dallas, a very rich area, and I'm walking across the street and I'm finding these business dumpsters, and I found some really nice boxes. So that was the plan for boxes. Anyway, Attorney George, one day he shows up, and he's in his court suit, and he knows I'm dumpster diving for boxes. And he's not that type of attorney that he's like, if you're diving, I'm diving too. And so right into the dumpster he went, and we said on the suit, you can get it dry clean. He dove in, he helped. He was also the type of attorney, when I wrote up the appeal for the state of Texas, he read over it 4 times. He wanted to make sure I did not miss one sentence. This attorney was so heartbroken for all of the recruiters in the office at the time. The year 2010, what I'll never forget, and I never expected again, is when your attorneys come and they're going to move you out. And do attorneys have to do this? No, they do not. And I'm not asking any attorney to go out there and start moving your clients. But in the year 2010, my attorneys pulled up with their vehicles, and the idea was, let's save Kelli and let's save her stuff. And we did it. We saved about 80%. Of course, it's that hard time in life when you are losing things, and you never really think about what you can go without in a lifetime, but then you realize after these things are gone, life moves on, and it's still life with or without these things. Well, for me, the first loss, of course, would be the pawn shops. That would be the diamonds and the Tiffany jewelry. That would be the pawn shop list. And these would be the type of items that you'd learn that life would go on without. You know, my attorneys weren't happy. I think my dad almost cried. Oh my gosh, not the diamonds and the Tiffany, but they go away. You know, and, you know, but very thankful for the attorneys that pulled up in their own vehicles. I was able to find at the time an extra storage that was going to take my stuff for 3 months free. And we couldn't move any quicker, but we did save the valuables, most 80% of my valuables that I had earned throughout a career. So when you hear me talk about attorneys, this is what I'm talking about with attorneys with hearts. My attorneys did not have to do that. So thank you, attorneys. In the matter of this book, and you're going to see, and if you read about it, it's one lawsuit that snowballs and it keeps snowballing, and a lot of drama, a lot of interesting stories, and whoever reads the book kind of captures on different stories and different angles and different personalities of the book. But I wanted to stop and I wanted to thank my attorneys. A lot of people, you know, they know my nickname. I'm an attorney with no law degree. Well, you don't become an attorney with no law degree. You don't obtain legal knowledge or know how to run litigation without your attorneys, your paralegals, and later it would be security. So thank you to my Texas attorneys, the superstars. Have a great night.